Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Ashwin. I'm joined by DJ as we get to the business end, as they like to call it, of the Champions Trophy. DJ, how are you doing, man? I know it's kind of been a weird tournament, right? Like, I'm sitting here since you and I last spoke. And by the way, back on my regular mic. Hopefully, people can hear me more clearly. Hopefully, our audio tracks don't have the sync issues they had before, etc. And for those who don't know, I've been moving. So I've moved to a new city. I have been setting up. So I haven't had my stuff, haven't had my equipment, but I think we're
Are
getting
you
there.
back in Cincinnati
I'm not.
or
I'm in Minneapolis. I live in Minneapolis, which is in the north.
Minneapolis?
So it's been about minus 20 Celsius for those who know Celsius, minus 10 Fahrenheit for those who speak Fahrenheit. So it's been pretty chilly, but it's going to get great out now. There's some sunshine outside. It's getting better. But new city, new house, set up, all of that stuff. So excited to be here. But yeah, DJ, you were talking before I hit the record button. It's kind of been a shitty, for lack of a better word, to put it, tournament, right? I'm sitting here saying we should be celebrating. India's made it undefeated to the semis. India plays Australia, but there's this undercurrent of a few things. I'm going to run through, and then I'll have your point of view. One, since you and I last spoke, 3 matches had no result due to rain. 2 didn't start. One was looking exciting, Afghanistan, Australia, and then got rained out. Australia and South Africa have both flown to Dubai because they weren't sure till the end of this India New Zealand match who's going to face India, and either way, one of them. So now South Africa, who's going to face New Zealand in Pakistan in the semi, is flying back to Pakistan, and we
Why
still
would
don't
they
know where
not
the
just
finals.
wait till tomorrow?
For prep days, they wanted to make sure there's enough time
Because Tuesday is
because
the
it's a Tuesday game, which
yeah.
also they could have planned around that. And then then after Tuesday's semi, we'll know where the Sunday final is going to be, and whether if New Zealand wins, they have to fly back to Pakistan. If India wins, if Australia wins, they have to fly back to Pakistan. Anyway, I've gone on a long tangent, but it hasn't been the tournament we had sort of hoped for, has it?
The weather hasn't helped.
Yeah.
The host nation going out, um, and the defending champion going out pretty early, it hasn't helped. The one exciting storyline, which was the Afghanistan storyline, because I'd actually tipped them to make it to the semis. That, I mean, after they played an exciting game to beat England,
Unbelievable, yeah.
it was a great game. That got washed out, although Australia were looking pretty good. Travis Head doing his
Yeah.
thing. At that point, you never know how things change, right? Pressure, all of that stuff. And then India in Dubai played like 4 spinners. And I think if you're playing 4 spinners in a 50 over game, that says a lot about what you think the state of the pitch is likely to be. So, yeah, it's been a weird week. Varun, I think at the beginning of this tournament said that everybody's going to get really invested at the business end of the tournament. Are we? Are we
It might,
invested?
I mean, it might happen. Listen, I watched the India New Zealand game. It was nice to see a guy who's been out of the ODI setup in Varun Chakravarti come back, pick up a 5 for. It was, but it was still.
Well, it was his ODI debut, wasn't it?
Was it
I
his
think
ODI
he's
debut?
only played T20s, if I'm not
I
wrong.
believe that. I should
I
pull
think
it
it
up.
may have been his debut, actually.
I think he's played. I
Or
thought he
maybe
had
he's
played one
played.
before.
Because he played the T20 World Cup in Dubai. But maybe he has played some obscure Sri Lanka bilateral series that I've missed. But
He
maybe he
played
has.
one match in. No. He played. Did he not play the England game?
Um, oh, yeah, he probably did.
Yeah. Wait.
He played
Sorry.
the
No.
T20s against England.
Yeah, that's T20s. What am I looking at? I'm looking at a statistics page, ODI statistics for Varun Chakravarti. I'm making sure I'm looking at all this right. This is really good. This is really good podcasting that we're doing this live. In
Excellent.
2025, on the 9th of February, he played against England.
Okay, fine.
Oh,
So,
okay. In the England, one match in the England series. So
fair enough.
I don't think I thought for some reason he was in this setup before and missed out. All that tangent to say, good result for India. Nice to go in undefeated. Did you buy in at all to this, the conspiracy theories, if you will, that it may have been better for us to lose this game and play South Africa in a semi, and as opposed to now playing Australia in a semi. The last time we played an ODI against Australia was November of 2023.
Yeah, I
So
wonder what happened there.
yeah, who remembers that? Anyway,
So this, I don't buy into this at all. If you
good.
want to win the trophy, you've got to beat the teams that come up. If
Yeah,
you played South Africa, beaten them, and Australia beat New Zealand to come through in the final, you've still got to beat them to lift the trophy, right?
yeah,
Sadly, we're Indian cricket fans. 19 November 2023 taught us that there's no prizes for coming second.
yep.
So you've got to beat the teams that you've got to beat to get to the end. And honestly, I'm much more comfortable playing Australia in a semi final than a final. I mean, I think there's a bit more
That's
pressure
a good
playing
point. Yeah,
Australia in a
yeah,
final.
yeah, yeah.
India played Australia in another semi final recently in the World T20, the T20 World Cup semi final, where Rohit
Yep.
Sharma took Mitchell Stark apart. This is an Australian team without Pat Cummins,
Josh.
Josh Hazelwood, Josh Hazelwood, and um, Pat Cummins, and Mitch Stark. So
Yep.
there's some like slightly unknown names. This isn't the Australia that I would fear. There's one name on the team sheet that we need to get tidied up.
Travis Head.
It's right at the top
Always
as
Travis.
the head goes.
Just always
It's just
Travis.
like the trauma of Travis Head carries on. So once we get Head and maybe we get Maxwell, I'd be pretty comfortable. We'd be okay. And
Okay.
then that leaves us with having whoever comes out of South Africa, New Zealand, which I suspect may actually be South Africa, with a little repeat of the World T20 World Cup final.
That
That'll be
would
nice
be
as well.
a
That'll be
thrilling,
nice.
good prediction. I was going to save predictions for the end, but well said. So India versus Australia is the first semi-final. India topping Group A. South Africa versus New Zealand is the second. South Africa topping Group B, undefeated. I mean, they had 5 points because of the one rain out, but didn't lose, which is just going to be great. DJ, we'll talk about India New Zealand for the second half of this show. Let's run down a couple other things that happened over the course of the week since you and I last connected. Right. So our last episode, New Zealand beat Bangladesh, no major surprise. Australia, South Africa getting rained out was really interesting because them splitting points changed the entire dynamic of that group. On Wednesday, let's talk about Afghanistan versus England. So Afghanistan came out on top here. 325. Ibrahim Zadran, 177 run knock out of 146 balls. Had some nice partnerships there at the end. Nabi hit some big balls, but 325. And then, although they had a Joe Root century, an absolutely brilliant five from Azmatullah Omarzai, and Afghanistan won the game. So talk to me about that, DJ. You live in England, obviously. Joss Butler has now stepped down as ODI captain. He stepped down after this game, and then going into his last game, he was hoping for a better result. Obviously, England ended up losing that last game on Saturday. It was as well against South Africa. So 0 from 3. What does England do now? Like, has England prioritized playing T20 style in Test cricket so much, and then the 100 and T20s, and then ODIs just gotten squeezed out, and they don't have an approach for ODI cricket?
It's difficult, right? Because they were the leaders in ODI cricket in 2019, and things have
Yeah.
changed
So is
pretty
it
quickly
possible
after
that they
that.
won that World Cup and then just were like, cool, we've done it. Now we want to focus on Tests and T20s?
Well, the issue was that their test results were so bad at that point. They brought McCullum in, and all the buzz became around Bazball and all that stuff. And I mean, they did nothing. They didn't. They got a few spectacular results chasing in Test cricket, primarily off the back of Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow. Basically, I don't know what happened to Johnny Bairstow because he was their opener in the 2019 World Cup. He just disappeared.
I always have a hard time hearing you say his name correctly because I've never heard you actually get the first consonants of his
Bonnie
name
Bairstow.
right.
No, but he's gone. I
Yeah,
don't know what's going on over
yeah,
there. Maybe it doesn't fit the mold of the English cricket management. Um, and they barely qualified for the Champions Trophy after the disastrous 2023 World Cup. They were champions of the 22 T20 World Cup. But that's kind of like Ben Stokes dragging them along.
yeah.
Without Stokes to balance that side, it's just more of the same. Like it's just a bunch of people that keep smacking the ball around and hope for the best. I mean, Duckett got 165, right? So
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, he didn't
And
bat
Root made a
badly. They got
century look
300
good.
plus.
So you could sit here and say they got close both against Australia and against
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
and they made 300 plus in each of those
Both times.
games.
Yeah.
But um, I don't know. I don't know what to say really. And Butler is obviously devastated. He's resigned white ball captaincy, which I think also means T20, doesn't it?
Oh, I
Because
didn't think about that. Yeah, probably actually.
did they
Huh.
not?
Yeah.
But English cricket is at a bit of a crossroad at the moment. They just sold 100 into ownership.
Franchises. Yeah.
They've got franchises over there. County cricket has been pushed into the fringes, so that their long form red ball game isn't doing that great. ODI cricket probably doesn't get a lot of
Yeah.
prominence because it's stuck. So it's in a weird place at this moment, actually. So they are going to go down to Australia and get another thrashing, and then people will maybe sit up. But like Baz McCullum has done a lot of good for English cricket, but
Yeah.
I think there's the backlash is coming to baseball. It's coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
I mean, people
It's
like David Willey and those guys have all been used and discarded, and they're
yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Jofra Archer's played this Champions Trophy, and like that's just gone under the radar. It's just like weird
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
going
I
on.
will say so. Just on their team, really quick, right? You can look at Phil Salt, Ben Duckett, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Joss Butler, non-captaining Joss Butler, Liam Livingston. That's a pretty good lineup. They've all had decent form recently. I have question marks on Jamie Smith, and that brings up the Johnny Bairstow uh, question you raised, right? As wicketkeeper batting at 3. And then from a bowling standpoint, Jofra's back, which is awesome. Mark Wood is quality. Your question mark is Adil Rashid is 37 years old. So whenever you want to play anywhere outside, yeah, Livingston and Root can turn their arm a little, but anywhere you want to play in the subcontinent or Dubai, you need a lead spinner. And they just
Mm.
don't have one. They just don't have one waiting in the
I
wings
mean,
right now. They've played some.
Rashid's class, but like you
Yeah,
need
but
two,
he's
right?
37, right? Like
Yeah.
anyway. All right. So England obviously perished. It's all there's a little bit of Schadenfreude. It's always fun as an India fan to see England lost that, then lost again to South Africa, and then really nothing else much to talk about in this week because Pakistan versus Bangladesh, dead rubber to begin with, didn't matter. Pakistan is hosted after I think I said 30 something. It's been 29 years, and just obviously the rain gods are going to do what they are. You can't be upset at that, but it was disappointing. And then also you see visuals of like I don't know if you saw the clip of the guys sweeping the ground where 3 guys were like running essentially brooms across the grass, and one guy slipped and fell. And it's like, what are your drainage conditions? What are your drainage facilities? What are the conditions of the ground? It was just really disappointing, I think. So I don't know if you spare a thought for the Pakistan
Yeah.
team getting knocked out early in their first home tournament after so long. We talked about it at length last week. So
Mm.
I just
Yeah, but
don't think I
also
had
the
expected they
the the
wouldn't play
ground
anything.
conditions thing. I think I saw Mohammad Kaif tweet about this. England doesn't cover the whole ground either,
Yeah.
right? So that's not unusual.
No,
Like
it's
the
not
only
the
place I know
covering.
that Sri Lanka is the
It's
one
not
that
so much
covers
the
the whole
covering.
ground.
It's that even at the Chinnaswamy or in obviously Sri Lankan grounds and stuff, your drainage facilities are good enough,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
they're
you
better.
can't not cover the ground and also
But
just
is
let
it
the wind fly.
seasonal for so much rain in like Feb, March
Yeah,
in
no, that's fair.
Pakistan?
That's a fair point. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Like
Like,
I can't
I mean,
think of
it's
North
not
India getting so much
geographically
rain in
that
Feb.
far from Punjab and North
Yeah,
India.
why
So
why is Lahore getting so much rain in Feb? It's a
yeah, I
bit
mean, you
odd, right?
had Lahore and 2 games in Rawalpindi both get rain.
Climate change, isn't it?
It's real. All right, DJ, we're going to come back, talk about India, New Zealand, and then touch upon the WPL a little, where the Delhi Capitals have become the first team to qualify for the playoffs. But let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. If you're on YouTube and hopefully everything's working, leave us a comment. We always get some great comments every week, some good, some less than good, but we love to read them every time. Hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow and it helps you get a notification every time we put out a new episode.
What are you talking about, Ashwin? What comments are you talking about?
Honestly,
That
they're
were
not
less
they're not
than
bad,
good.
right? But sometimes they're just entertaining. And
They're
listen, we
just
take we
funny.
take feedback when we're falling short. We read everything. Is all I'll say. But yeah, that's all I'll say. Let's get back to it. DJ, let's talk about the cricket. Final game of the group stage, a week apart. I'm not getting into the debacle anymore of this whole Dubai thing, and New Zealand had to travel. Both South Africa and Australia traveled fine. Let's talk about the game. So first off, four spinners, right? Harshit misses out. Varun comes in. What is your take on selection? Obviously, in hindsight, the right call, but I guess you could argue Akshar batting at 5 gives you that real option. Akshar 5 and Hardik at 7 give you two all-round options that really do allow you to play with the composition of your side. And by the way, Akshar has played a pretty good role at 5. As much as I was critical of the move, he's done well. So what do you think on the composition decision? I remember the matches started at 3 a.m. for me, so I woke up, I saw Varun playing, I was like, what are you guys doing? How did you drop Kuldeep? That feels unacceptable. And then I realized, no, they're playing Jadeja, Akshar, Varun, and Kuldeep. So thoughts on that? And do you think they play the same composition going into the semi?
I think there was a bit of there was an element to preserving some of the bowling
Yeah.
for Tuesday because there's a short turnaround. I think Durant and Discard had already said that the night before. Um, Also giving Varun a game. He's playing. It was a low stakes. It was a pretty low stakes
Yeah.
game, right? Either you
Pretty
play
low.
South Africa or you play Australia.
Yeah.
It's a Champions Trophy. You've got to win the semis to win the final
Yeah.
and then win the trophy, right? So whether you lose in the semi or whether you lose in the final is actually irrelevant,
Yeah.
in my view.
Fair.
So I think they just said we'll give Varun a game, and man, he delivered. What a performance by him. The pitch was sticky actually, because
It
now
was.
that I
Yeah.
think about it, we haven't bowled um, spin in the second innings of any of these games. We've chased.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could see the quality of these spinners really come to the fore when they bowled second. It was a great performance. I mean, New Zealand win the game and they'll always be in the game. And we should talk about like their fielding and like outrageous some of that stuff. Like the Glenn Phillips catch of Kohli. Like it was. Did I send you the
You
reel?
did. Jadeja is making fun of it. Okay, let's
No,
talk. Let's,
that's one. And then there's a reel of they've like superimposed Lagan onto this. Check your
yeah,
Insta.
I'll
They
check it. Yeah.
superimposed Lagan, like Captain Phillips is hitting the ball, and then Laka puts his hand out and catches it one-handed, and they superimpose Glenn Phillips onto it. It's
Unbelievable.
like some of the stuff, man, out there. It's just too
Yeah,
good.
Instagram content is unbelievable. Let's talk about the first innings then, right? 249 for 9 on a sticky pitch, obviously enough to win by 44 runs. At the same time, DJ 15 for 1 and 30 for 3, right? Matt Henry and Kyle Jamieson. I mean, we've seen this playbook so many times. We just have, and for better or for worse, especially against New Zealand in
At least it
ICC
was not
final.
5 for 3 like
Yeah,
it's been
so
before.
30 for 3 is progress, but still, your top three are all back in the hunt. And then you have Shreyas and you have Akshar at 5. Talk to me about that partnership. At one point, it felt like Shreyas was batting at about 65 strike rate. Akshar was batting at 60s. He finished at a strike rate of 68. But this is unlike the England playbook, this is what makes ODI all the commentators cliches, but the middle overs are what make or break your ability to, you can be 100 for 1 in 9 overs, and if you can't bat through the middle overs, you're going to get out.
Yeah.
So thoughts on
Look,
that? That was a great Shreyas knock, right?
yeah, and you have to give credit also to the New Zealand bowlers up front. Right?
Yeah.
Like they plan meticulously for those dismissals. It's ridiculous. The Rohit dismissal, the Gill dismissal, LBW going across, falling across. They've worked this out.
Yeah.
And then the Kohli dismissal was super interesting because it's not a shot Kohli plays very often. It's kind of a front foot cut shot.
Yeah.
They've got their best fielder in that space, and he's not. There is also a regular kind of point. He's square, and like then there's a backward point as well. So it was not like he was the only fielder there. So this is a plan that's just been brought together, and it was very impressive to watch. But the partnership between Shreyas and Akshar, uh, how do I put this? So I've said a few times that I feel like I've woken up in the 90s where watching like the way that people
Sticky
have
pitch
batted.
in Dubai.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it was a great partnership in the context of the game overall. But if we'd lost it, if we'd lost that game, that would have been the point where we were told that you slowed down too much, the
Yeah.
acceleration never came, all of that stuff. Akshar would have probably been hung out to dry by this point. It just shows you that these guys adapt to conditions really well, and they reined in their ego. These guys can all hit big sixes, and we saw that Shreyas when he accelerated hit some
Yep.
huge sixes.
Yep.
But it was recognizing at that point in time is that a partnership was needed, and that's what they put together. So they put over 100 runs together, Akshar and Shreyas. Before Akshar again, the kind of paddle swept top edged one and went to it was almost a nothing shot, but that
Yeah,
showed you the danger of the pitch, right? And
yeah.
anytime you tried to attack, that there was a risk associated with that attacking shot. So yeah, I mean, attritional, a tough watch. I think again because we're so used to that kind of T20 slam bam
Yeah.
type of batting. But yeah, I have to say I did drift in and out of that partnership just watching the score on the television because
Same. I mean, it's
it's
hard
hard.
to.
There were a lot of balls hit to cover, a lot of balls hit to fielders. I think there were at one point there was 101 dot balls that we played,
Yeah,
and it's only a 300 ball innings, man.
yeah.
Like I don't know how many dot balls we played, but we played a lot of dot balls.
Listen, that's what we talked about last week, right? It is a hard format to be in for all 8 hours, and I don't fully understand the. I mean, I do, but it's hard to explain the why on Test cricket is still so great, and yet this format just it seems hard to watch. But I'm with you. Like watching overs 18 to 37, let's call it, right? Is just tough. Let's talk about the chase then, right? 250 to defend, 8 overs of pace, right? You had Hardik opening the bowling. He looked great, by the way. Got Rachin Ravindra out early, and then the spinners sort of did it from there. Some good partnerships. Kane Williamson actually batted well, but I think other than for was it who was it? Was it Glenn Phillips who got LBW that actually was actually
Uh,
missing and he didn't review, or
no,
was
it
it
was yeah,
Daryl Mitchell?
Bracewell. I think it was Bracewell.
That was Bracewell later. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
because Daryl
Daryl,
Mitchell reviewed and it was like
correct.
plum,
Daryl was Kuldeep.
clueless. It was awesome.
Tom Latham, LBW, Ravindra Jadeja. Glenn Phillips, LBW, Varun. Michael Bracewell, LBW, Varun. I mean, all
And
of
that was the
the
one that was not out.
yeah. And I mean, it did look out to the naked eye. It just looked
Yeah.
like it may have been hitting out slightly outside the line, but it didn't. At no point did I think it was not gonna was gonna be like green on hitting or not hitting the stumps. But anyway, I don't think that would have changed the outcome of the game. You can't say that for sure. But the way the spinners were bowling, DJ, kind of highlights from a bowling perspective. Obviously, you look at the scorecard and look at Varun 5 for 42. Akshar, by the way, picked up who did he get? He got Kane Williamson on the last ball of his spell, on the 60th ball of a 10 over spell. I would argue Akshar bowled the best of the bunch, and that's how bowling in partnerships works, right? I think he bowled unbelievably well, didn't get any wickets, but put enough pressure, and then got one on the last ball. So,
It was also
I,
like a great wicket with the drama of Williamson just carrying on walking and
yeah,
Rahul waiting to break the stumps. That was
yeah,
very MS Dhoni esque, the whole like wait to break the stumps.
yeah.
How many minutes was that before I brought up Dhoni?
Pretty good.
It's
22 and
not
a half
bad.
minutes. That's pretty good. You're
I'm
getting
losing
better.
my touch.
Let's talk quickly about Rahul. There was a couple. There was a few. There was one quote unquote drop catch where he was it hit the edge and deflected quickly. But the best keepers know when a batter starts setting up for a dead cut, you start moving that way, outside off, because there's no way it's gonna go in. Like that's the level of instinct that Dhoni had, that the punts of the world are learning, but that Rahul probably still doesn't have, right? That
I'm
ability
thinking
to.
of when Dhoni put his foot out to stop the late cut.
It's just
That was
unbelievable because
extraordinary.
you cannot possibly react post the cut. You're seeing where the ball's about to go. In that split second, you're anticipating the type of shot. And as the batter starts moving towards cat, your brain starts sticking your leg out. It's an unbelievable
It's yeah.
skill. And
I'm gonna keep this clip where you've like praised MS.
I have never denied that MS is one of the best keepers I've ever seen. I've also never denied
Also
that
the
workout.
ugliest possibly like, but like in highly
But
effective, like
unbelievably effective.
unbelievably
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
effective.
I've also never denied, by the way, that he was one of the greatest ODI or sorry, all format players we've had. But one of the best skippers. My beef with MS has only been that he
My
doesn't let
clip is
the
only getting
yeah.
longer and longer.
My beef. I know I've never denied this. Don't let the record state this wrong. My beef with him has been where a match is going on and he's supposed to bat at 7 and he comes down and he pushes somebody else forward, then he sends tailenders and he bats at 9. Or honestly, just it was his time sooner than I think he was willing to admit. But other than that, phenomenal player. But talk to me about that. Like, and Rahul made some famous, or not famous, but well publicized comments about being nervous about Pant, right? He sort of alluded to the fact that Pant is at his heels, and he says, "Yeah, it comes with pressure, etc." Do you see a world where India goes back at some point to prioritizing specialist keepers, or is this just kind of the new normal?
So this is an interesting question as well, because the next World Cup's in South Africa.
Hmm.
The last time there was a World Cup in South Africa, India had Rahul Dravid as the wicketkeeper.
Yeah,
The next time after that was MS Dhoni as the wicketkeeper, the T20 World Cup in 2007. So it's not a place where you really need. Well, Dhoni is obviously specialist, but Rahul Dravid took us all the way to the final as being a makeshift, fairly reluctant wicketkeeper.
yeah,
So I can't see KL losing his spot because of the World Cup upcoming. The problem with the KL is that he's not Pant, and with every stupid clip that you have for Pant,
yeah,
you've also got a Tuta Hai Gaba Ka Ghamand, because
yeah,
that's the range that Rishabh Pant
yeah,
brings for you. And Rahul is kind of reassuringly solid, and like he
yeah.
can play spin well, but he doesn't have the charm and the glamour of a Rishabh Pant, right? So
I mean, the way to articulate what you just said is, I think Pant's ceiling is much higher,
correct.
but his
This
floor
is
is
what
much
you do in
lower.
MBA. Yeah,
But
that's
but
right.
his floor is much lower, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Rahul doesn't go as high, but doesn't get as
Yeah,
low.
his
So
range
yeah,
is like there,
range is
whereas
just
Pant
much smaller.
fluctuates
And
from
the
here to
question
here.
is, do you back a Pant for the days that he hits the ceiling, or do you back a Rahul for the stability? So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the question, right? So, but to keep a player like Rishabh Pant, who's a T20 World Cup winner,
yeah,
fixture in the test side, out of this particular format where logically Pant should actually be like the first choice keeper on spinning tracks, particularly. Rahul's done well.
yeah. I really think. I mean, I think really the difference is the batting role you want, right? If you're playing Akshar at 5, you're playing Hardik, you're playing. I mean, do you have the space for a Rishabh in the batting lineup? So that I think that's the bigger question.
Yeah, and
And
that becomes a question. If you're playing in South Africa
yeah,
and you're playing a seeming all rounder
yeah,
that's not Akshar
yeah,
or Jadeja, let's
yeah,
say, whoever's around,
yeah. Does
do
Nitish
you
come in,
then
or
need the explosion
yeah,
from Rishabh Pant in the middle?
yeah?
Or do you need the stability of a Rahul? That'll be the question.
We will figure that out. But a good win for Team India. DJ, as we wrap this section, what do you change anything going into the semi? Right, Australia is a different beast. Travis Head, just alone can be can cause trouble and has caused a ton of trouble to Team India before. I anticipate, and I like to be honest, they probably go in with the same structure of 4 spinners. Australia is different, right? As you think about who they've played so far, Adam Zampa's played obviously, but then you've played Spencer Johnson, who's tall, hits the deck hard. You've played Nathan Ellis. I guess they're going to bowl maybe Maxwell more, Labuschagne more. I don't know if they have another spinner
Steve
in
Smith
there.
started life as a spinner. Don't
Steve, yeah.
forget, he started Test cricket as a leg spinner.
I don't know if he's even bowled. There is Tanveer Sangha. Why are all the spinners all over the world thought they should have mentioned, by the way?
HOD,
He's Sodhi, Keshav Maharaj,
Adil
just
Rashid,
yeah, Moin Ali,
Shamsi,
yeah. Anyway,
Tabriz.
Tabriz Shamsi. They're playing. Yeah, they've got Sean Abbott, who's another quick, and then they're playing Tanveer Sangha. So what do you expect happens Tuesday in Dubai, India versus Australia overall?
I think they'll play the same lineup. I think they will want to get Travis Head out.
Yeah,
That's the one that they'll be aiming for. And for that, I think the best chance for India to do that is to have 4 spinners, and all of them bring something slightly different, right?
yeah,
Akshar and Jadeja slightly different, slow left arm. Kuldeep the mystery wrist spin, and then Varun with the top spin stuff. So I mean, the pitches are going to help them whether they bowl first or second. So for me, it's kind of no brainer. I don't think the. I mean, Rana bowled well, to be
yeah,
fair to him,
yeah.
and Shami's pretty good. But if the pitch played like it played today,
Yeah.
just play 4 spinners and just like tie them down with those four
All right,
spinners.
DJ. By the time we get back next week, we have Tuesday, Wednesday semis, and I guess the final is on Sunday. So we have a little bit of. Is it Saturday or Sunday? We have a little bit of time until the actual final hits. until there's a trophy. Yeah, Sunday. Let's quickly talk about the Women's Premier League. So you and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. The IPL's around the corner. First off, for the second year in a row, the Delhi Capitals have qualified for the playoffs, and in this case, the first team to qualify. It has been some absolutely magnificent ball striking. Shefali's been phenomenal. Jess Jonathan got a great half century in the last game. By the way, Shefali has looked on the brink of a half century 3 times, I think, before this, and she plays the Sehwag games where it doesn't matter whether you get out in the 40s or not. But it's nice to see her doing it in a winning cause and get the. She got 80 in the game against the Bengaluru side. But also, Shikha Pandey's looked good. So, sorry, this is not just a Delhi Capitals roundup, but I've been really excited. And you were actually saying before we got on, it's going to be an interesting year for us to decide how we feel about the Delhi Capitals men's side. Because it's now KL Rahul, Akshar Patel, etc., not Rishabh Pant. But we'll table that. DJ, all 4 other teams are actually alive in the playoff hunt. Mumbai looks like they might make it with 6 points already. And then UP, Bengaluru, and Gujarat are all tied on 4 points. So anything can still happen. How are you feeling about this year's Women's Premier League in general? You know, definitely growing in stature. They're playing in a couple different. They're playing in. They played in Vadodara already, then Bengaluru, and now they're moving to Lucknow, and they'll finish it off in Mumbai, which, remember, they started as a single city tournament. It's been great, right? The quality has been good. The progress has been great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit of a shame. I have to say that it's been scheduled alongside the Champions Trophy.
Yeah.
I think it's deserving of its own window,
Yeah.
and the BCCI has not given it that. It did that last year. With the amount of cricket that we have going on, I think my gripe with all of this is it should not have been scheduled at this time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm almost tempted to say that it should be scheduled like a week before the IPL starts, or like to finish a week before the IPL starts, so that it builds up anticipation to the IPL as well.
Yeah. So
But this has not
it
been
does, right? Sorry. The final is March 15th.
correct.
And the
Correct.
IPL
But
starts March 25th.
this is you've got the Indian men's team playing. You've got like it's not been great timing that way.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm excited about Delhi. We might
Yeah.
actually win a trophy at some point.
I
I'm
think so,
very
yeah.
sad that Rishabh Pant has left Delhi, as you were saying as well. I'm just like, it's been hard supporting that franchise over the years, right? And to see the talisman go to Lucknow, I mean,
Yeah.
fine, cool. He'll be
Yeah.
back, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah. The part of the WP.
I mean, at least the good thing is that he became the highest paid player ever. Like it took the most amount of money ever to move
Yeah.
Rishabh Pant
Yeah.
from Delhi to somewhere.
Yeah, if that's what it takes, or you have to be happy
Fair
for
enough.
him that he's
Yeah.
made bank, and good deal for him. We'll take it.
He'll be back.
There you go. You heard it here first. All right, DJ. I think that brings us to a wrap. Thank you for joining. Lots of cricket ahead, and before you know it, IPL season will be here. But for now, we're focused on winning an ICC trophy. If we can win another one back to back, I think it looks challenging. Australia first, and then either South Africa or New Zealand. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, a little bit of an advantage playing in Dubai. Conditions we know, the pitch we know. Indian team gets to stay in the same hotel for 2 weeks, while South Africa has now flown to Dubai and is probably heading home now without having done anything in Dubai because
But Australia's already been there, so that was disappointing actually.
they've been there and got there early and got to stay. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting. Thanks to everybody for joining. We're at One Tip One Hand on all the socials. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. We love to hear from you. We'll be back next week to talk the winners of the Champions Trophy and the build up to the WPL final. And then, DJ, before you know it, we're going to be previewing the IPL 2025 season. We'll get some fantasy cricket going. It's going to be great. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, signing off.